Blue Dog Films presents Paid to Dream with Charles Dennis.
I'm Charles Dennis, and this is Paid to Dream, and my guest today is up in the wilds of Maine, Mr. Zero Mostel, actor, artist, chess expert, haiku master, and dancer extraordinaire.
None of this is true.
But
thanks anyway.
You are the only man I have ever danced with. I still remember being in the apartment one day on Riverside Drive, and you had some music on. You said, "Come on, come on," and I danced with you, and you're a wonderful dancer.
Well, thanks. I was. My knees are a little shot, but I don't dance much. But
there's a dance.
But I have great memories of tripping the light. Fantastic.
Oh, absolutely. Now, did you not dance with your dad on the special? Were you not in the chorus of all those guys?
Of all those fat people? No, I was not. I didn't do that gig.
You weren't in that putting on the Ritz thing? Oh God.
Not me.
That wasn't you.
Other fat people.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. But your mother was a rockette, was she not?
That is correct.
And
seventh from the left.
Seventh from the left. There you go. Couldn't miss her. And this is where your terpsichorean genes came from.
I guess. Yeah. Zero moved great, and Kay was a dancer. You know, studied ballet. Gave it up to be a rockette because you made money as a rockette. You know, that kind of stuff.
And you and I met, I was going back in my memory, it's about 25 years ago, when you were doing The Boys Next Door at the Lambs Club in New York.
Uh-huh.
And it was an extraordinary performance. I think I saw it twice in a week, because I just could not...
Really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that oh boy, became a catchphrase for me in front. I remember the Perkins boys, Osgood and Elvis, were very young then, and they were going to New York, and I said, you must go and see this play, and they came back, and I said, did you see the play? And they both went, oh, boy, oh, boy.
Oh, that shows they did. Yeah, that was a terrific play. And
you were extraordinary. For people who never saw it, it was about...
and that's most people.
Well, it was about a group of middle-aged men who were, what do they say now, challenged, mentally challenged.
Yeah, handicapped.
Handicapped. And what I remember was the fantasy aspect when we saw what they were inside themselves, and that first act curtain when you again danced the light fantastic at that it was a wonderful, wonderful play, and they eventually did it on TV, and unfortunately not with you.
No, Nathan Lane. He got all my father's good roles.
And yours.
Yeah.
Well, the heck with him. We saw the original, and that's what counted.
Such is life.
Yeah.
Or that's show business, one of those two.
Now, when you were a little boy, you were growing up here in Los Angeles because your dad was under contract at 20th Century Fox.
Yes, but they never let him on the lot.
What, you mean all the work was done off because he did several films for Fox?
Well, he did, but those weren't when he was a contract player. He was hired to be a contract player, came out to L.A., and then the blacklist hit, and he wasn't allowed on the lot. So then we left L.A. But, you know, he did other movies before that. I mean, he did, like, Panic in the Streets and Barry Was a Lady and stuff. And
well,
he had a career.
Barry Was a Lady was the first film he was in. They brought him out. It was a film with Red Skelton, Gene Kelly, and Lucille Ball, and he played the fortune teller.
I've never seen that film, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because Kim and I were watching it recently, and we realized that Rosie O'Donnell does a great impersonation of Zero.
Really?
Yeah, she suddenly, you know, it's very, very, it's uncanny. I thought, that's strange. That's very strange. But Panic in the Streets was distributed by Fox, and I mean, he was in Stella, and he was in one of the Mr. Belvedere films, and these were all Fox movies. And then those the two pictures with Bogart that are just great that he's in. But and then, so do you have any memories of being here in L.A. when you were little?
Gosh, no, not really. I mean, there's a picture I can sort of feel where I was in the picture, but I think that's pretty much before my memories started. My memories started in college, more or less. But
let's just erase the first 17 years of our life.
Yeah, nothing much happened.
Wow. And when did you start painting? Do you remember?
I painted when I was a kid, because my father was a really good artist, and I remember, I don't remember, but a teacher actually said, why are these leaves red? And I said, well, I just want to make them red. And she said, leaves are green. And I said, well, my father's an artist. She said, you should paint like what you feel. It doesn't have to be what you see. And she whacked me one. And you know, I kind of didn't draw again for years after that.
Oh, God.
You know, God, you got the color of leaves wrong.
I know. It's horrible. They did that to Ethne in first grade. She had
Really?
a teacher who we think was actually autistic, who insisted that they draw within the lines, and if they went outside the lines, they were punished, and it was just, you know.
It's just ridiculous. But, I didn't do it for a long time, and then, I took a few art classes in college, and then I did a light drawing thing, and it has such an effect on your brain. It was like time, like, you know, shortened and stuff, and you just in another world, and I realized it's something I ought to do. So then I restudied it, and I've just been doing it for the last 20 years or so, a lot.
Yeah, no, you're terrific.
You're terrific.
We have several framed pictures here in the house that you did.
There you go.
Yeah. Now, you were a boy soprano at the Met. Were you in La Boheme? Was that what you did?
No, I was in Carmen, La Gioconda, and Boris Godunov.
And how did that come about?
Well, I was in public school. They came around. They said, we need singers for the Met. I thought, does it pay? And it paid $3, which was equal to 20 slices of pizza in that day and age. And so I auditioned, and I got it. It was great. I was in it for 1 year, and then they said, there's a understudy for a soloist in Tosca. There's a shepherd in Tosca who has a little solo, and I auditioned for it. And in the middle of the audition, my voice changed. It was the first time I ever cracked on a high note. I said, do that again. I went, honk, and they said, and by the next year I was part of the hardcore unemployed.
Oh dear.
As my voice changed, and that was good. Some of the boys actually had their voice changed and never told anyone, and just kept singing falsetto to keep the gig.
Yeah, $3 is a good alarm.
Yeah.
I remember walking around the Upper West Side with you, and you pointing out, and my tongue hanging out, how when you were a kid, I mean, how housing has changed in New York, that you would constantly move into these huge apartments that were like nothing.
Oh yeah, that's true. My brother, we lived in a place called the Bell Nord, which is on 86. It's on a whole block, 86 to 87 between Broadway and Amsterdam, and with a courtyard in the middle. And my brother estimated that our apartment was like 6,000 square feet.
Really?
We were paying like $225 a month, and my mother hated it.
I wanted you to tell these stories so that people would just roll over on their back and go, how is this pot? $200 a month in the 50s.
Amazing.
6,000 square feet?
That's what my brother figures. It was huge. I mean, it had an eating kitchen, it had a dining room, and a double-sized living room, and it had 3 maids' rooms that were knocked out into one room, which I ended up in. 3 bathrooms. It was a big old apartment, very soundproof. It was great. It was gorgeous. I loved it.
And Zero had his own studio though somewhere else. He didn't.
Yeah, he originally had the back room, but it was way too near my mother. If she could smell his cigar smoke, he was in trouble. So he moved down to 28th Street where he could, sneak around.
Would it be accurate to say that Zero thought of himself as a painter who acted for a living?
Well, that's what he always said. I mean, certainly we don't think of him that way, but he professed his great love to be painting. He had no qualms about saying, I am an actor. I am a painter, not an actor. I'm a painter who acts, not an actor who paints.
Yeah.
But Zero would say a lot of things,
Yeah.
Whatever he felt like, usually.
Like to get that stick and poke it and see what happens.
Yeah, something like that.
In 1971, you made your Broadway debut in Unlikely Heroes, which was three Philip Roth stories.
Yes.
That were adapted as one-act plays, and my godfather Lou Jacoby was in them with you.
Oh, right, yeah.
Eli the Fanatic and Epstein.
Yes.
What do you remember about Lou?
Lou was very sweet. I mean, he just was a funny guy. He was nice, like cracking jokes. I mean, I don't know if we ever hung out together, but he was a good guy. I mean, I was in awe of everyone, but as a young kid, I was sneaking around in the theater.
And around that time, didn't you make your film debut as well in Going Home?
Yeah, I guess I did. Maybe a little bit before that. I think the day I left The Proposition, which was an improvisational show, I got a job, which was being Robert Mitchum's parole officer in what was it called?
Going Home.
Yeah, Going Home.
And I remember you arrived
Great script, bad movie.
You couldn't find anyone, and then you ran into Bob Mitchum.
Oh yeah. But in fact, I think it's a great story. But I go down to Wildwood. I check in the hotel. I said, "Any message for Josh Mostel?" And they go, "No." I said, "Oh, well, I'm wondering if I'm working." Well, where's the production office? They go, "It's the boardwalk." So I go on the boardwalk. I walk in down. I find the production office. I walk in, and no one is in the production office. There's like these old teletype machines and phones, and just nobody's there. And I start to panic. I mean, what if they're shooting? What if they need me? And I walk up and down the boardwalk, and I see Robert Mitchum. I say, "Hi, Mr. Mitchum. My name's Josh Mostel. I play your parole officer, Borelli, and I just want to know, are they shooting somewhere?" And he said, "Son, let me give you a little advice. Go to a movie, have fun. If they want you, they'll find you." I went, "Oh, okay, thanks," and just sort of chilled a little bit. And the weird part of the end of the story is years and years later, I was doing City Slickers, and I had a day off, and I called David Paymer, and I said, "Hey, Davey, we got a day off. You want to go to a movie?" We were shooting in Santa Fe. And he said, "Sure. What do you want to see?" There was some movie we went, and it was playing in Albuquerque. So Davey and I got in the car and drove to Albuquerque. We didn't tell anybody we were going anywhere. We're sitting watching the movie, and there's a tap on my shoulder, and Usher says, "Are you Josh Mostel?" And I said, "Yeah." They said, "Call the production office." They wanted me. They found me.
That's it, Bob Mitchum.
They had a scheduling change, and all these guys that were on hold, they were scattered to the four winds. They started asking, "Where are they?" Some team just said, "Well, I saw them driving down the interstate." They said, "Oh, they're probably in a movie." They tried every movie house, and they came up with us. That's pretty amazing. I mean, they wanted me. They found me.
That's it. Yesterday I was interviewing Bruce Davison, and he had, stories, advice stories. One was from Burt Lancaster. The other was Henry Fonda and Burgess Meredith, who was a great pal of your dad's.
Oh, yeah.
And sort of brought him back, to prominence when he directed Ulysses in Nighttown.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably true.
Do you remember, do you have memories of Burgess when you were a kid?
Oh, yeah, I remember Burgess. He always seemed drunk, and it might be because he was drunk.
Because he was drunk, I think so.
He also had a pet monkey. He had a beautiful blonde wife who had a motor scooter, and she let me drive it at about 14.
Wow.
Yeah, Burgess. Cool.
Yeah, I remember being in Times Square with you when that huge Sony screen announced that Burgess had died.
Oh, really?
Wow, yeah.
I don't remember that at all.
Well, I'm cursed with this memory, you see, Josh.
I guess. My God.
I know. And then after Going Home, you did King of Marvin Gardens, which I have to tell you, I saw on Blu-ray last month, and it's an extraordinary film. It is just... And I thought it was a neglected movie, and then I discovered it was one of the top 20 grossing movies that year. The people
No way. Nobody saw that movie.
Well, you should see it again. It's a terrific movie.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's
really. People hated it. It came out after Five Easy Pieces.
Right.
And people loved Five Easy Pieces, and then they said, well, maybe it wasn't that good, so they attacked the second movie. You know how they do that sometimes? Critics declare someone a genius, and then they go, well, wait a minute, maybe he actually sucks.
I think I like King of Marvin Gardens better. It's just the fact that they switched roles was an extraordinary thing. That Nicholson and Dern played the opposite roles and did it brilliantly. It's well worth seeing.
Well, maybe I should see it again. I don't remember it. I remember nobody understanding what was going on.
It was ahead of, either we're older or it was ahead of its time. I don't know, but I sat there and really...
Certainly we're older, maybe both.
Yeah. And then off to Israel for Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yes, that was number 3, Israel, 8 weeks at minimum. But it was certainly an experience.
You're like Rudy Valley. He used to tell me we'd talk about some club somewhere, and he would tell me what he made and what the toilets were like.
Oh, well, I don't remember the toilets in Israel, but I'm sure they were first class.
It must have been tough doing those numbers at 110-degree temperature, though.
Nah. I was hardly dressed. I don't remember it being hot. I was young. I was in shape, more or less.
Yeah. And that was another one of those things where...
And no humidity.
Yes, no humidity. And I remember you told me a story once that Norman Jewison phoned the apartment or something, and Zero...
Oh, yeah. I was visiting Zero in Mexico, and I had just gotten there, and then there was a call from my agent saying that they wanted me to fly to L.A. to audition for Jesus Christ Superstar. And Zero heard this and was furious and said, Tell them to get Topo's son. He was screaming in the background, not wanting me to leave, but mostly enraged that I would have anything to do with Norman Jewison, who, of course, had, the temerity to hire Topo instead of Zero.
I know, and I can't. Well, I still can't watch it. It's just...
Well, I was changing channels one night, and I saw Fiddler on the Roof, and Topo said the line, I have 5 daughters. And the way he said it was, I have 5 daughters. Like, I am Stud Maximus. And I just turned it off because, Zero, when he did, Zero, read Shalom Aleichem and everything, and it was a tremendous burden to have daughters because you had to come up with the dowry. And
right.
Tevye, as written, had 7 daughters. And that is financial ruin. So when Zero said line, he says, I have 5 daughters, and he hits himself in the head, and he's miserable. And it's just like, I thought, geez, Topo, you're off the mark. You didn't quite get what that line means.
I
didn't give him much of a chance, but...
I had trouble with the white shoe polish to begin. I said, come on, the guy's too young. Yeah, and I couldn't understand it. The vowels, those Israeli vowels are just too weird. And then you were a mute for a long time in Harry and Tonto.
God, you remember my whole career. You must have some sort of source material with you.
I have an elk on my shoulder.
That was.
I saw Mazursky this morning, as a matter of fact.
You did. I loved him. I'm sorry I was so inappropriate with him, but he
What do you mean?
I made a terrible mistake. Okay, all right, I'll tell you the story. But we were driving through to Sedona from Sedona to the Grand Canyon, and just gathering shots on the way. And Paul was in a camera car, and it was me and Melanie Mayron and Art Carney's double driving this car. And they were just getting little, traveling shots. And at one time, I turned to Melanie and said, maybe I'd give him a pressed ham. And she said, yeah, go ahead, do it. So I pulled down my pants and pressed my ass against the window, right? Okay. And then over the walkie-talkie, he says, do it again! And so I did it again. And then we get into Sedona, and Paul goes, oh, that was great. That'll be the highlight of the film. I said, what do you mean, you filmed it? Now, we're talking a serious schmuck. Me, why is he going to say, do it again? So anyway, he said, oh, yeah. I said, well, how did my ass look? He said, oh, it was terrible. It was a big stain, a pimple, big and huge. I said, well, you're not going to use it. He says, I don't know, maybe we'll use it as the poster. I was so nervous about it. Oh, no, what have I done? And then we were at lunch, and Paul was with the assistant director and the producers. All the bigwigs were at one table, and I was carrying a pie, and he goes, oh, look, our poster boy. And as I walked by, I said, hey, Paul, have you seen this old joke? He said, what? And I hit him in the face with a pie. And he was furious.
Oh, yeah.
He went, goes beyond humor. And I went, oh, Jesus. And I was eating with Melanie. I went back and she went, Josh, you really screwed up. I went, yeah, I think so. I had, but, he's a great guy. I mean, we got together after that, played cards and stuff.
All was forgiven.
No, I don't think so. I mean, once a schmuck, always a schmuck. But I always do things like that. I always kind of shoot myself in the foot. Me and Plaxico Barris. Anyway, go on. What's next? Let me see if I know even.
Well, I'm jumping into...
strangely enough, I didn't work a long time after that. Coincidence? I don't.
Well, that is interesting. You didn't work on film, that's for sure, for 2 years.
Yeah, that's right. I had done a whole bunch of things with some casting agent. I mean, she hired me for the first 2 movies, then I did Jesus Christ Superstar, then Harry and Tonto. She was kind of grooming me, I thought, maybe. Dougherty, Marion Dougherty, I think her name was. And then all of a sudden, I never even had an audition for her again. It was like, I'm sorry, this guy is just way too loose. Who knows? Maybe she's right.
No, 2 years later you did do, and I've never seen this one. It's called The Money.
Oh yeah, don't bother.
But Sam Levine, did you work with Sam?
No.
No, and Danny DeVito was in it as well.
Oh yeah, he was.
He was the bartender, but
well,
they got you back to work.
Well,
At least the
sucked.
curse was broken. And then not long after that, you did the TV series Delta House, and you were Blotto, brother of Bluto.
Yes, that's
Was
true.
that fun?
No, it had its moments, but it was more money than fun. It was TV, don't forget. It was okay. I mean, the guys were nice. I mean, we, thought we were kings of the world, but it turns out we were just 13 and out jerks.
But then you got back into quality production, back in Sophie's Choice.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
And I remember you told me that Streep never broke character. She never spoke to you.
Not really. I mean, she would keep her most of the time keep her Polish accent off camera. I mean, she didn't want to lose it, lose the sound of it, because that happens. I mean, sometimes you have an accent and all of a sudden you forget the accent. At least that happens to me. No, I think in the film, what I must have said was, I don't think she ever looked at me in the film. I mean, her character just ignored my character, and she's not a kind of actor who wants to make the other actors feel comfortable. I mean, that's not her. I don't think that's what she's after, and nor should it be. I mean, Sophie doesn't really have to be too concerned about what Morris Fink thinks,
Yeah.
When all is said and done, but anyway.
And then you worked for Fosse after that.
Oh yeah, now he was a director. I mean, that guy. And
let's say with Star 80, you were a private detective in that.
Yeah, I only worked 2 days on that, but it was like, it's very intense. I mean, he really, he's telling you he's going to cut the scene if it doesn't get better, and to just grind it up and he cut for a camera move. I mean, we were doing the scene, and the camera pen, he said, cut. He said, why is the pan so slow? And the guy says, I don't know, I just didn't get the speed right. He said, yeah, I mean, the guy was really on top of it. He'd spend lunch behind the camera looking at it, really work. He knew what he was doing, Bob Fosse. And he could dance, and he could sleep with women. He could do a lot of things.
Yeah, an inspiration for people who don't exist anymore.
I guess, yeah.
And then a bunch of John Sayles movies.
Yes, my ex-wife, Peggy Reisky, was partners with Maggie Renzi, John's significant other, and in fact, for The Brother from Another Planet, the production office was my living room. I once got up and walked through the living room to go to the kitchen, and there was this intern there, and she looks at me like, who is this guy? And it's like, I live here. I live here, and I'm making, even less than minimum. You shouldn't marry a producer unless, I don't know.
Unless you like
whatever. It was great. That was great fun. That was one of my favorite movies.
And then the one I think of as your dark victory, Windy City, which was not a dry eye in the house. That was a wonderful performance as Saul.
Oh, well, thank you very much. It was, when I got Variety, when it opened in Chicago, and I did the calculations based on the gross, and it turned out, I think, that 11 people averaged per screening.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it didn't catch the fancy. Although, weirdly, I mean, I was in Argentina and walking down the street, and someone said, El Señor de la Ciudad de Vente. Oh, he had seen me in Windy City, and apparently it was terrific in Spanish. I got to get the guy who dubbed my voice in, and but it's like,
but you died. I mean, it was.
But that's film, Charles. I'm still alive.
Hey, thank you for waving the flag. And can we talk about radio days and working with Woody? That bit on Yom Kippur when you go next door to berate the people, and then you're gone for a long time.
Yeah, that was a funny bit. I remember. I felt terrible. I mean, originally there was a different scene. And I would go, and then I would come back and explain what happened. And I had all these lines, and they were hard to memorize, hard to do, and we did about 20 takes, and he would go, okay, now really do it faster, and try it faster, and try it, and so I was racing through it, and then the script supervisor came out and said, well, what do you want to do with the last 4 pages? Do you want me to print them? He goes, no. And it was like you could just tell he was really dissatisfied, But ultimately, we shot the whole scene, and I think he was probably dissatisfied with his own work as much as mine. You know what I mean?
You're the only actor I've ever heard of who actually had direction of some sort from him.
Well, he doesn't. The funniest thing was Lainey. Is that her name? Who played my wife?
Yeah.
Lainey and I we're looking at the sides. We didn't get the whole script, and there was some Long Island. They just made it was like a real Long Island accent. And with the first rehearsal, we do this Long Island accent. I don't know what I'm doing now, but we tried this Long Island, and Woody goes, "Are you going to be doing that?" Oh. And we go, "Well, not now." I mean, he didn't say that's terrible. I hate it. He just got worried. He's kind of a left-brain guy. I think he's a musician. He's a writer. He's not necessarily totally verbal.
I remember when Clint Eastwood hired Meryl Streep for Bridges of Madison County, to play the Italian woman, and then at the end she was so thrilled. He called, and he goes, "You're not going to be doing an accent, are you?" And I don't know if he was messing with her or what. I mean, that threw her off.
Yeah, well, it threw us right back into no accent. We had no problem.
I always wanted to ask you, in Wall Street, you had such a fabulous intro by Michael Douglas about your character, and then we sort of never saw you again. And I could think, did you shoot stuff that was cut?
Perhaps. My greatest cut role was Sophie's Choice, where I must have had 4 times as much stuff that I did.
Wow. Are there deleted scenes on the DVDs? Do you know?
I don't think so. I have no idea. In Wall Street, I remember, what's his name? Oliver something? The director?
Oliver Stone. Yeah.
No, Oliver Stone. Oliver North. Yeah, close, Josh. Oliver Stone goes, it's great. An actor who doesn't mind small parts. And I thought, oh no, I'm an actor who doesn't mind small parts. And then I got totally neurotic, and Michael Douglas would do all these lines in my line, and I would screw up my line. It's like I just couldn't get anything right after that. But whatever.
Yeah. And you mentioned David Paymer before, and not long after that, there you guys were in the saddle.
Yeah. Yeah. That was fun. That was a totally fun job. Jack Palance was a hoot.
Well, Jack Palance had been with your dad, and of course, partnered in Panic in the Streets. And
right.
Wasn't there a great story there?
Yeah, it's like Jack Palance, Zero comes over and is kidding around, and Jack had this prop gun. It wasn't loaded, and said, load my gun. And Zero starts saying, "Oh, here, let me give you a target." And Zero pulls down his pants, and Jack clicks off the thing, and the thing had a blank in it. And boom! And Zero starts going, "You shot me in the ass! You shot me in the ass!" Jack goes, "I loved your father." He was a very funny guy, Jack Palance. I mean, he didn't try to be funny. It's just when he talked, he was very Jack Palance. He was a brilliant actor.
Yeah.
Quite a guy. Went out with Marilyn Monroe.
Did he?
Oh yeah.
But God, that's an endless list, isn't it?
Yeah, I would tell you a story, except this is way too dirty.
No, it's all right. We do dirty on here.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
He mentioned Marilyn Monroe. I said, "Did you know Marilyn?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Did you ever fuck her?" And he goes, "I was in L.A., and it was teeming rain, and at around 2:30 or 3 in the morning, the phone rings. So I kind of knew who it was, and I picked up the phone and go, 'Hello, Marilyn.' And she says, 'Oh, Jack, have you seen it outside? It's incredible. It's raining and raining.' I said, 'Yeah.' And she goes, 'Come over, Jack. Let's go for a drive.' And so I got in my car, and I drove over to her place, and she was standing in this little white dress in the rain. And she jumps in my car, and she's so happy to be out and driving around. And we go up near the Hollywood Hill signs, and there's this big puddle. And she says, Jack, stop the car.' And she opens the door, and she gets out, and she runs in front of the headlights, and she's just dancing in that puddle with the rain coming down on her little white dress. And that's how he answered the question of, did you fuck her?
Oh.
It was the best.
Wow. He was something else. He was 80-something, and we were at his daughter's house. She gave a party for a friend of ours that just won the Oscar. Kim and I were there, and suddenly Jack came out of a bedroom wearing this red lumberjack shirt, and he saw Kim, and he went, "I'm Jack Palance. Who are you?" And I thought, oh, my God. Oh, God, there's no stopping him.
Yeah, he's great. He really is great.
He was something else.
He was a hoot.
And then Adam Sandler came into your life, or you came into Adam Sandler's life, and did Billy Madison and Big Daddy. You were part of the rep company there.
Hot damn. Billy Madison, I actually turned down. I read it. I didn't like the script. And then, thank God, they made an offer. And, you know, there's a difference between auditioning for something and getting an offer. If you make me an offer, I'll do it. I mean, if you want me to audition, okay, well, I don't know. But thank God I did it, because that's the only thing people remember me from. I mean, people say, where have I seen you? I usually say Billy Madison, you know.
And Not Great Expectations?
No, not Great Expectations. But I wore a fat suit. I got to wear a fat suit.
Well, that was it. That was the beginning of the fat suit dilemma for you. I remember, because I hadn't seen you for a couple of months, and you suddenly were like, I remember saying you look like Rod Steiger in Dr. Zhivago. You were suddenly a whole new category, and then they weren't happy. They didn't want a svelte Josh Mostel.
I don't know. I got to wear a fat suit, and then I did a play on Broadway.
You did Getting Away with Murder, and you had to wear the fat suit again.
Yeah, half fat suit will travel. And now I don't need a fat suit, so they split the money, they say. And now I'm just plain old fat. Oh, man.
The last time I saw you on stage was in this fascinating, well, I hate using
Wasn't it wonderful?
Cranes. That was written by Dmitry Lipkin, and you were wonderful. Well, you're always wonderful. But this character, I remember, I still would love to make a film out of it, because I think it's such a unique...
He's a great writer. We had a cruddy director. You know, someone who liked to blame the cast when he would screw up. I mean, you know, it's not...
He was ill-suited to that material.
Pardon me? Well, he really writes. He's like Chekhov, you know. He writes to the center of the character, you know. You really feel like you're doing something real, you know.
But weren't you? Was it the Halloween night or something, and you were in that lion suit?
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, it was one of my great memories.
Oh, well, that's great. Yeah, I love the cast. They were very good actors. And then he blamed all of us. He said, well, if they had only done what I wanted.
Oh, God.
And it's just so stupid, because, you know, we did exactly what he wanted. He just didn't know what he wanted. He was...
And I remember that one actress who was pumping the milk into to send to her child somewhere else. What was that?
Oh, she was nursing her child, Mira.
Yeah, and she would be
Mira
back.
Berlin.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, she's great. Yeah, they were all great. David Margulies. David Spaghetti.
Wonderful. And also wanted to talk about when you did Threepenny Opera, or Three Penny Opera, as they insist on calling it, with Sting.
Yes, good old Sting.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a story about him. Sting is, I think, a marvelous person. We were sitting around, and things weren't going well. We were in previews, and people said, you know, this is the highest priced ticket on Broadway. It's $60, and you know, I see people, like every act, you know, there are less and less people. I mean, people are really leaving. And Sting said, maybe we should charge them for leaving. Yeah, funny guy.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. And about 2 years ago, whatever it was, I went to the movies one night to see State of Play, and I said, he's back. Josh is
there
back.
There I was. God, they screwed up and hired me. Who can believe it?
Well, you were terrific again. It was so nice to see you.
Wow. It was nice to work. God.
Well, you know, being on an island in Maine isn't necessarily the best way to...
Yeah, you know, I'm not a very good self-promoter. In fact, if you want to be talked out of using me, call me. I'll probably have bad things to say about myself. I mean,
are you still painting?
Yeah, once in a while. Hang out. Mostly I sit around. I cook a lot. I eat a lot.
You're a fabulous cook.
I make sure the tide comes in and goes out. You know, somebody's got to watch the water.
Yeah, it's a dirty job.
Yeah.
And what about the haiku? I still have. Do you remember some of those great haikus that you wrote?
Some of them I've even committed to memory, and a couple I've written down. Yeah.
Well, as we bid goodbye to Monhegan Island, perhaps you can give us one of your favorites.
Oh my God. All right. Ethan Phillips, an actor, who's in Star Trek a lot, played the cook guy. He had funny wrinkles on his forehead. Anyway, he was a breakout character in one of the Star Treks. But he sent me a bunch of emails about there were Jewish haikus, and I thought he had written all these, but I don't know, they were from a book or something. So I wrote him back a Jewish haiku, which was Jewish haiku, 17 syllables for you, special 16. There's one.
Yeah, I remember I still wanted you to put them all into an itty-bitty book that people...
Oh, what do you know? That's work, Charles.
I know. God, work is not good for you. Not good at all.
Well, it's, I don't wake up thinking if I only had a job. Although, it would be nice. It gets a little old just sitting around, but it doesn't get that old.
No. And then just when you think never again, the phone rings, or they send a homing pigeon there to that island to contact.
Just when you think never again, it's never again.
There you go.
There you go.
Josh Mostel, it's been a joy, as always.
Thank you, Charles. And when you do the poetry thing, call me, and we'll just do nothing but poetry.
All right.
The poetry show. Okay?
Thank you. Okay.
All right, man.
Take care.
You betcha.
Bye-bye.